Dear Academic Professor Shaban Sinani, dear participants, colleagues and students, thank you for joining us today in this webinar organized in the framework of the Research Infrastructure Resilience. We have the pleasure to have with us today Academic Professor Shaban Sinani, which will have an open lesson on the Codex Purpureus Beratinus in UNESCO's Memory of the World program as part of the cooperation of Albanian University with the Academy of Sciences of Albania. Before giving the word to Academic Professor Shaban Sinani, I want to share some short information about resilience. Resilience is a research infrastructure for religious studies which aims to build a high-performance platform supplying evolving tools and big data to scholars from all the scientific disciplines crossing religions. In 2021, resilience was included from the ESCRI Forum as its roadmap. This means that resilience will take its place in the strategic framework for research infrastructures in the European research area. Albanian University represents Albania in this research infrastructure and covers also Kosovo and North Macedonia. I don't want to take more of your time, and I have the pleasure to give the word to Academic Professor Shaban Sinani and its presentation. At the end of the lesson, we'll share with you a form to have your feedback on it. Thank you for your attention.
Right now I'm restarting. My lecture is entitled Codex Purpureus Beratinus, a bridge between the East and the West, between the Antiquity and the Modern Era. This topic is chosen by me, discussing with Professor Kaliopinaska, and I hope that will be with interest about the participants of this communication. Why Codex Purpureus Beratinus, Purple Codex of Berati, or Purple Codex of Albania, surnamed, and with the international index 043 phi is chosen for this discussion, because this codex is one of the 7 oldest original manuscripts in the purple parchment and in uncial writing, all in silver and gold. According to well-known experts, Purple Codex of Berati make part of the manuscripts which are inevitable for the textual biblical criticism studies. The second reason is because Purple Codex of Berati is one of 3 archetypes of Holy Scripture. This codex is going to be used as a textus receptus for the new scientific edition of the New Testament, considering that it is assessed as one of the most relevant manuscripts for the purpose. Third, Purple Codex of Berati was written when the competency of human reason could slightly influence the Christian doctrine. The fourth reason is because this codex is a basic reference of the history of Christian thought. And the last important reason is because this codex presents a specific school of scripture, the middle school of Christian literature. For all these reasons, we will speak in continuity. Just for curiosity, on the left of this slide is the coperture, is presented the coperture, the cover of Codex Purpureus Beratinus 043 phi. This is not the oldest coperture, but the last coperture of this codex. I will specially specify the intercultural importance of Codex Purpureus Beratinus 043 phi one of codex certified by international acts and decisions. So this codex is important not just for Albanian studies, not just for some studies in the world, but it's evaluated by the most important organization about the cultural patrimony in the world. The first is this fact that Codex Purpureus Beratinus is officially registered in the list of UNESCO Program Memory of the World, based on the decision taken in the UNESCO General Assembly conference in Beijing 2005. If you are interested, in this slide is presented the link when you can find the questionnaire and all documents necessary for this nomination and registration. The second international evaluation of this manuscript is Codex Purpureus Beratinus is registered in the World Digital Library and the Library of Congress of USA. And if you are interested, just click in this link in this slide and you can consult more information and more details if you are interested for this. On the left of this slide, I have present the scripture, the letters, the characters, the fonts of Codex Purpureus Beratinus in this time, in actual form, after the restoration of this codex in Popular Republic of China in 15 years ago. The letters of this codex are often in silver, but some letters are in gold too, especially for the nomina and signs sacra. The letters are in uncial characters, is not uncial. Uncial is different between uncial are more difference between uncial, initial, and uncial letters. So this uncial letter is especially for the oldest manuscripts of Holy Scripture, are all in majuscule, and all the text is written in scriptio continue, means without the space between the words. So it's really difficult to read this text without the difference between the words. Need to suppose, to imagine the spaces between the words. So I have speak about the nomination of Codex Purpureus Beratinus in the memory of the world, the most important program of UNESCO organization, and this is the certification of the inscription of the Codex Purpureus Beratinus, not just first Beratinus, but second Beratinus too. For this, I will speak in continuity. In 2005, and this certification is preserved and kept in the founds in the collections of the National Archive of Albania. Yeah, I speak about two purple codex of Albania and other purple codex in the world. In the first image is presented a form or rewrite text of Codex Purpureus Beratinus, first Beratinus. In the second is Codex Aureus Beratinus, Gold Codex of Berati, Gold Codex of Albania, is named in this form because all the text of this codex is right in the gold letters. If in the first Codex Beratinus, in gold are just the names nomina sacra, Kyrios, Jesus, Christ. In the second, all the letters are in the gold. Not just in Albania are preserved the manuscripts in the gold letters. One of the similar manuscripts is Codex Purpureus Beratinus, registered true in the memory of the word. So just those three codex, oldest codex in the world, are registered in the program of memory of the world in the UNESCO. I think that it's necessary to have a replay. Why the codex of Albania are named Beratinus, Beratini? Why not Albanian's codex? Have a reason, because you can see in the map of Albania on the left the number of codex based in the proportions in the map of Albania. 5 of the oldest codex of Albania are preserved in the Berati. The second city of manuscripts, church manuscripts of Albania is Vlora. The third is Korça, and more of them are in the other city. So on the left, on the right, you can see the percentage of the church manuscripts in this schema here. And you can see that the almost of the codex of Albania are preserved in the Berati city. This is the reason why the most known of codex in Albania are known with the name Beratini or Beratinus, not Albanian codex. Maybe are other reasons, for example, because those codexes are in Greek, are not just for Albanians, are for the Christians in generality. But the basic reason is because those codex almost are preserved in the Berati city. Maybe it's good to speak briefly about a story of purple parchment. Parchment is a phenomenon conditioned in the space and in the time. The oldest known term is pergamena, from Latin, originally meant coming from Pergamum, a city in Asia Minor, best known in the ancient history for the manufacture of this product. So pergamena means from Pergamon, Pergamon in Greek. The second specificality, purple. Purple is one of the biggest secrets of the history of the scribency, art of the write, one of the masterpieces of the scribes and the scriptoriums. In the first period, it was known as imperial purple parchment, because in this materia can write just poetry dedicated to emperors. In that time, the parchment and especially purple parchment was a great lux. So this material can't use for other functions. In the second period, it was known by the name divine purple parchment, because after the 4th century, the purple parchment is exclusively dedicated to Holy Scripture. Uncial is a word etymologically from English ons, and I think that it's good to record that uncial is not initial, not unical, is quite different. Please see on the left a typical uncial letter of the 7 purple codex in the world, transliterated by a priest, a French Belgian priest named Pierre Batifol, the author of the first monographic study about the first codex of Berati, Codex Purpureus Beratinus, 1, and other manuscripts in Greek in Albania. In this map, you can see the position, geographical position of Pergamum, the city of parchment, the city of Pergamena, the special support of the most important codex, most important church manuscripts of early Christianity time. The names you can find in the literature in form Pergamon, Pergamum, Pergam, Pergamnon. In the Greek form with those letters here. And this city, this tradition of luxury support of biblical, evangelical, gospels manuscripts is in the same time of Alexandria school, in the time of library of Alexandria, well known in the world for the richest and rarity of manuscripts. The purple codex of Berati, or exactly 2 purple codex of Berati in uncial letters, are part of the 7 purple codex in the world, not more, just 7, and are those codexes. In uncial letters and silver, I have said, as I said before, the names of Christ and other names are in the gold, are Codex Purpureus Petropolitanus. Petropolitanus is the name of Petersburg in the Greek. Codex Purpureus Sinopensis. Sinopensis is a name from Sinope, is a city in the Asia Minor. Codex Purpureus Vindobonensis. Vindobone is the name of Vienna in the Latin in the early times. Codex Purpureus Rosanensis. Rosanensis is named in this form because it's preserved in the Diocesa di Rosano in Italia, and Codex Purpureus Beratinus in Berat. The half uncial codex, all in gold, are Codex Aureus Beratinus or Codex Aureus Anthemi. Anthemi is the name of Metropolitan of Berati, the first person who have described the content of this codex, and Codex Purpureus Theodore in majuscule, preserved in Moscow. The seven codex, oldest codex, purple codex in the world are Petropolitanus, Rosanensis, Sinopensis, Vindobonensis, Beratinus I, Beratinus II, and Theodore. You can see the places when are preserved until now. I would like to complete the information about the uncial manuscripts. There are more than 300 on the list of uncial manuscripts, but in uncial letters, in parchment, and in purple color are just 7. Others are not in this chosen list of the important manuscript in the world. And in the map of Europe, you can see the places when are kept the oldest manuscript of Albania. In the Petersburg, in the Moscow, 2 are in Albania, 2 in Italy, 1 in Austria, and another in France. Some words about the Codex Purpureus Petropolitanus, meant the purple codex of Petersburg, preserved in Russia, in the Petersburg Library of Russia. It's written in the 6th century, in the parchment, purple parchment, in that time named divine parchment, in uncial letters, silver and gold, all in the scriptio continue, meant without the space between the words. The content of this codexes are Gospels by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and by the researchers of textual criticism, this codex is compared to Codex Purpureus Patmosensis, meant from Patmos. Patmos is a place in the Greece. Typologically, this codex is typically of Eastern school, or terminologically is known like Syro-Palestine school. All the nomina sacra of this codex, God, Christ, are written in gold letters. Other parts write in the not in the gold. And you can see here the brief form of Jesus, Theos, Kyrios, another form of Jesus, and at the end, Soter, in Greek means loved. This are the same characteristics of the Codex Purpureus Beratinus 043 Phi. So, Petropolitanus and the Beratinus, in the Petropolitanus and in the Beratinus Codex are applied the same quality of the rite, holy rite. Purple parchment, uncial letter, in the silver and gold, especially in gold, the nomina sacra, and to those codex are manuscript of Eastern school. Codex Purpureus Sinopensis. name it in the catalog of well-known researchers, Gregory and Aland, meant Gospel of Sinope, a city, old city, a city of antiquity in Asia Minor. And in this manuscript is right just one of the Gospels, Gospel by Matthew. Now it's preserved in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. The support of this codex is purple parchment, second period, divine parchment. The letters are in uncial. All the scripture is in scriptio continue without the space between the words. And this codex is right in the 6th century, in the same time of Beratinus and Petropolitanus. Those codex are from the Eastern School or Syro-Palestine School. Some words about the geographical cities when is developed the Holy Scripture in the early Christianity period. The typical uncial letters in the purple parchment in the Codex Purpureus Sinopensis O, second Gregory and Aland researchers. Please see in the Asia Minor the cities when are developed the early Christian traditions. You can see here the Sinop, Caesarea, Bithynia, Pergamon, Nicaea, and Constantinopolis. Yeah. Codex Purpureus Rosanensis is on the left is a page from this codex. It's preserved in the Diocesan Museum of Rosano Calabro in Italy. The local population is Arborech or Italo-Albanians. The manuscript is from the 6th century. It is written in the purple divine parchment, uncial letters, and majuscule. Some elements are typically for a palimpsest. All the text is written in scriptio continue, all in the silver, and the continue is Gospels by Matthew and Mark. I think that is good to remember that in Beratinus are preserved two Gospels like in the Rosanensis Codex. Beratinus 1, Beratinus 2, and Rosanensis are three codex, three manuscripts, oldest manuscripts registered, nominated in the Memory of the World program of the UNESCO. It's an elitary program, is on the top of all the programs of UNESCO. So mean this world evaluation for those codexes. In the Rosanensis Codex, not all the letters are like in the Beratinus 1. And you can see some differences with a free view on the left and more clearly in the reconstructed text of Codex Purpureus Rosanensis on the right. So, are the same school, but not equally in all the qualities. Codex Purpureus Beratinus, phi, based in the catalog of Gregory Allen, is preserved in Central State Archive of Tirana, Albania. The time of writing is almost in the first part of 6th century, but this is not a absolute border, because it's considered a limitus ante quam non. So not late more the middle first part of the 6th century. Early can't be, not later. It's written in the purple divine parchment with the uncial letters. The text just partially is canonical, but in the same time, this manuscript is not qualified like a Gnostic gospel, and sure not a apocryphal gospel. All in silver and in gold, nomina sacra, and the content is the gospel by Matthew and Mark is registered in the Memory of the World program of UNESCO in Beijing General Assembly of 2006. On the left, you can see artistic using of the letters of the Codex Purpureus Beratinus. Is a coin for the numismatic functions produced by the National Bank of Albania with conventional values. Codex Purpureus Vindobonensis, or Purple Codex of Vienna. Also is known with the name Vienna Genesis. Is preserved in the National Library of Austria. Is written in the purple divine parchment with the uncial letters and in the minuscule. Like the other manuscripts, is written in the scriptio continue, not later than 6th century. The content is the book of Genesis from Septuaginta, and is a codex of the Syro-Palestine School of Holy Scripture. The last codex is Codex Aureus Anthemi, means gold codex of Anthemius. The Anthemius, as I said, is the name of Anthemus Alexoudis, the metropolitan, the bishop of the Church of Berati, and is registered with the international name Codex Purpureus Beratinus 1143, based in the Gregory Allen description, Gregory Allen catalog. In this codex are four Gospels by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and is dated not later than the 9th century. All in the purple parchment is the last manuscripts in the purple parchment in the world, written not in the uncial, but in the semi-uncial or half-uncial letters, all in gold. Words are separated, not more than in the Codex for first time, not in the Scriptio Continue. Is registered in the memory of the world in the UNESCO. And on the left, you can see one of miniatures of this codex is written, but you can't see. I hope somebody can see. Is written Kata Luka Evangelion, means Gospel by Luca. It's in the top of the miniature. This codex is compared with the Theodore Codex Purpureus, written in the gold writing, in semi-uncial letters, and is dated in 9th century, based in the comparison with the Beratinus II, means purple gold codex of Anthemi. So Beratinus II is a point of reference for a exactly periodizations of other codexes, including Theodore Codex of Russia. In this codex are some miniatures, and are more clearly that in the Beratinus II, but the style of writing in the Beratinus II on the right is more clearly than in the Theodore Codex. Comparing the 7 oldest codex in the purple parchment, written with uncial or semi-uncial letters, half uncial, in the silver and the gold, with all the family of the earliest manuscripts of the church, the researchers identify 3 schools of scribe and scriptorium, or 3 atheres of the scripture. The Syro-Palestine school, or East School of Holy Scripture, when are grouped Petropolitanus N, Sinopensis O, Rosanensis S, Vindobonensis Aleph, and Alexandrinus. The Western school, when are grouped Vaticanus B and La Vulgata, well known La Vulgata, translated in Latin, the first complete translation of the New Testament in Latin by Saint Jerome, and the middle school or Eastern school Westernized. This is most important typical values of Codex Purpureus Beratinus 043 phi, because it's a middle school. It's not a Syro-Palestine school, not a Western school, but a Western school Westernized. So are combined 2 schools in this codex, and for this reason, the purple codex of Berati, the first codex of Berati, is an archetype. It's not just a manuscript; it's a manuscript archetype. So in this map, you can see the geographical view of 3 schools of Holy Writ. The school of Syro-Palestinian area, the school of the Western, and the middle school concentrated in the Balkan space, exactly in Albania. And why in Albania? Because in this time, in Albania are presented many phenomena of the great contribution of this people, exactly pre-Albanian Illyrians, in the basis of Christianity. So is Saint Niketa, the author of the first hymn of Christianity, Te Deum Laudeamus, in Latin, is a hymn. This hymn is present right now in the life of church. In this area is born Saint Geronimo, Saint Jerome. In this space is passed a part of life of Saint John Chrysostomos. So it's an important space for the Christianity on the world in that time. As I say, the Codex Purpureus Beratinus is one of the 3 world archetypes of the highest elite scripture between the 3rd and 4th centuries. Consolidated in this time. It's known as a middle school with status between the Western writings centered in the Roma and the Eastern one. Eastern but Westernized. It was written in the century when the European civilization, following the ancient Hellenic Latin tradition, was led almost by Illyrian emperors, Adrian, Diocletian, Constantine the Great, and personalities of the human thought in the era of Illyricum, like Saint Niket of Remesiana, the first composer of church music, and Saint Hieronymus, first translator of the Bible in Latin, known as La Vulgata. What explains the importance of the Illyricum space in the history of the Holy Scripture? I think that are need some facts about the Illyrian era in the Act of Apostles, New Testament, like Epistle of St. Paul of Romanians. In this epistle is write that, so from Jerusalem all the way around to Illyricum, I have fully proclaimed the gospel of the Christ. Is right in this slide in Greek too, for some people who know this language. Από Ιερουσαλέμ μέχρι του Illyricon και κύκλο του Evagi. It's the abreviature of Evangelion. And some ancient toponyms recorded in the Act of Apostles in Greek and Illyricum space are Corinth, Nicopolis East, Thessaloniki, Apollonia East, and other places, other toponyms presented until now in this area. Briefly here is described based in the Ralph's translation of the Bible, the first, second, and third, no, the first and second apostolic missionary journey of St. Paul, according to King James version of Bible, well known like a text consolidated and the canonical text. 3 early periods of Christianity, apostolic Christianity until 96 year, Hayden Christianity until 32-5, and early Christianity until 6th century. It's important to know this periodization of the first time of Christianity in the world, because some errors are in the basis, the foundation of the this period, exactly periodization of first etaps of development of Christianity in the Mediterranean, in Asia, Balkan, and in Western Europe. It's known that by Albanian researchers is a discussion for this formula of St. Paul in his letters addressed to the Romanians. I have proclaimed the gospel of Jesus in all the Balkans, but the discussions is inside or around the Illyricum space, y compris or just in border of Illyricum space. This discussion is until now is open. Some historical researchers are convinced that this epistle of St. Paul means that the missionary journey of the apostles is across it in the Illyricum space, is inside of Illyricum space, but another part of the researchers by another part of researchers is supposed that is not passed this missionary journey inside in Illyricum, but just is in border of Illyricum space. So, Codex Purpureus Beratinus is a unique bridge between the East and the West, between the two churches, between the two liturgies, and between the two doctrines and practice. Even further, the crossing three epochs, early Christianity, medieval, and New Age. The Codex Purpureus Beratinus is unique in its kind for various reasons as below. For two different readings called conflate readings. This is a term proposed by Pierre Batifol, and this means that the text of this codex is acceptable for both churches, the Roman and Byzantine one. The second, the status of the canonical text only on the day of St. John Chrysostomos in the same time means that this codex is not Gnostic for the most part, but never apocryphal, and in the same time is used like a canonical text just in the day of St. John Chrysostomos. The position as an intermediate school of the archscribency explain the reason why the three world churches of the East, the West, and the Protestant evangelical one accept Codex Purpureus Beratinus today as one of the manuscripts named Textus Receptus for the scientific reconstruction of the New Testament with the authorization of the four churches of the world. So, to facilitate the how to know this complicated problem of the schools, I have presented this map of three schools of Holy Scripture during the early Christianity. In the first school, in the Syro-Palestinian or Eastern school, are grouped Sinopensis, Rosanensis, Petropolitanus, and Vindobonensis. In the Western school is Vatican B, and in the middle school it is registered just one. Codex Purpureus Beratinus 043 phi in uncial letters with conflate readings, mean in parallel readings phenomenon, accepted by all the churches of the world, is style of scripture, but westernized in the form of description of the Holy Scripture. I think that it's good to speak about the historical surveillance of this codex, starting from the middle of the 6th century. Maybe this codex is right in the Constantinople, a center of Christianity. Maybe the second station of this codex is Patmos in Greece, because Patmosensis and Beratinus are so similar between us. The third station is Adrianopolis, a city, ancient city inside in Albania. Maybe because the emperors of Constantinople give the cities with her names some important gifts. And in Bilis, inside in Albania, this period is supposed. Now start the historical period from 9th century. Is known that this Codex Purpureus Beratinus of Albania is preserved firstly in monastery of St. John Theologos, and in the first years of Ottoman occupation in the church of Perondi in Berat, Church of God's Church, is hidden in this church to keep and to not take to Ottoman authorities. Later in the St. George Church of Berati and in Central State Archive, in the Beijing for the restoration, in the Vatican City, in the program of 2000 year of Christianity, in UNESCO program, and the late presentation of this codex is in Sofia in Bulgaria, in international exposition of the oldest manuscripts of church in 2008. This is a description of the places of conservation and preservation of Codex Purpureus Beratinus 043 phi during the centuries, including the places where it is studied, restored, exposed, and promoted. In the course of 1,000 years, the Codex Purpureus Beratinus captured the attention of the Franks of Champagne, les Francs de Champagne, by the Neapolitan units, Cheta to Napolit in Albanian, by Tsarurosh army, by the expedition of Seljuks Ottomans, by the Austro-Hungarian army, by the fascist army and Nazi one, and at the end by the atheist time of Albania during the communism. The survival of Codex Purpureus Beratinus is compared with the complicated life of Codex Tischendorfensis, disparated in more than 20 libraries, museums in the world. Just to record that in the September of 43, The ambassador of Reich, Third Reich, Hermann Neubacher, the representative of the Third Reich in Belgrade, in Albania too, during his visit in Albania, agreed to recognize Albania neutrality in the Second World War if the authorities of Albania promise to surrender all the state reserves in gold, surrendered the Jewish list, and to all the purple Codex of Albania, mean Beratinus I and Beratinus II. It's known that all the reserves in gold of Bank of Albania were sequestered by the Nazi command with the permission of the collaborators of Albania. Collaborator governor of Albania. The next two conditions, the Jewish list and the Codex Purpureus Beratinus, were refused. Codex Purpureus Anthemi or old Codex of Anthemi is refused too. Between 43 and 68, the Codex Purpureus Beratinus was hidden in the Danguan. When it was discovered, it was hopeless. The restoration of the Codex Purpureus Beratinus and the Codex Aureus Anthemi engaged over the 20 Chinese science and cultural institutions under the directions of the Institute of Archaeology of Academy of Science of Popular Republic of China. The specialists considered it was one of the world perfections of the restorations technology of ancient writings, with each sheet hermetically sealed with an organic glaze. The two codex can withstand any natural influence and factors, light, humidity, physical force. For the salvation of two codex in purple parchment of Albania, there were negotiations between many personalities and institutions in Bucharest, Athens, Vienna, and Roma, based in a signed agreement and in sure friendship, confidence. The restoration of two purple codex of Albania in China was realized under the personal patronage of Guo Moro, former president of People's Assembly of China and the first president of the Chinese Academy of Social Science too, until his death. When moved or exhibited outside of the country, in Beijing, Vatican City, Rome, Sofia, as well as in the Palace of Government in Tirana too, there is obligatory protocol of honors and security of Chairman of State for Albanian Beratinus Purpureus. A diary of Albanian archivists is published in Albanian, firstly in my books, Codex of Albania, and in Beratinus, and after are published in the brief cultural encyclopedia of Albania in China, and the latest in this book, Greek New Testament's manuscript from Albania, by Didier Lafleur, and so is known in all the world this processus of restoration of true Albanian codex in the China. And just for more information, I think that is good to present the list of institutions incorporated in the processus of restoration of Codex of Albania in China: the Institute of Archaeology, the Institute of Chemistry, the Institute of Biology, the Institute of Geology, the Institute of Public Health, the Sail Paper Factory, the Special Parchment Factory, the National Library of Beijing, the special factory of printing of national Chinese money, yuan, yeah, and the National Bank of China, because it's used gold and silver. There are mineral industry for gold and silver, true, and the publishing house of arts. Are not all listed in this slide, but just the most important institutions included in the processes of restoration of true Albanian codex. This is a view of the first Codex Beratinus, purple Codex Beratinus, in the status before the restoration in China. It's looked at that are damaged. And in this situation, the pages are not separated. It is impossible to separate the pages, and it was impossible to read even a single word, because in this form the codex are not more like in the paced time. I have present here in another view of the first time before the restoration of true codex in China, with the coperture, and this is a view of second purple codex of Albania, Codex Purpureus Beratinus II, or Codex Aureus Anthimi, gold codex of Anthimi, before the restoration of China in China. This is a photo of this first Codex Beratinus before the starting of restoration work. Now you can see how we can look the Codex Purpureus Beratinus after the restoration in China. This is a folio, a page of this codex, coated in organic glass after the restoration. So after the restoration, the specialists, the experts can read the text, can discuss about this text, can translate the text in the original forms. Now, I have spoken in the first minutes of my presentation about the golden signs, golden letters, and in this page, just need to see the numbers 1 and 2 to identify the places when is used are used the gold letters. This is a reproduction of text in another support just for the researchers, not for the importance of the codex. Interesting is that in this folio, in this page, is the gold letters are used for the musical pneuma, for the like a hypertext for the liturgy. Now we can compare the restoration text on the right and reproduced text for the studies. The same is for the gold codex of Berati. It's so beautiful. Now you can read Evangelion Kata Ioanni, Gospel by John. Here is more clearly that in the pages before. This is a form of exposition of two codex in the international expositions. It looked that after the restoration, the codex are in the good situation. Just another form of the last exposition. This is a view of the first Codex of Berati. All the pages hermetically included in the glass. Are some miniatures of second Codex of Berati, some correspondence between the Embassy of Albania in Beijing and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the time of restoration of this true codex in Beijing. So this process of restoration of true codex in China is wonderful. I would like to remember that in that time, Albania was in atheist place, atheist state, but this position of Albanian state about the codex is wonderful. So it's a cultural position, not a religious position. The history of restoration of Beratinus I and Beratinus II is not exposed yet, and for a completed story of this processus need to consult more archives, including archives of Embassy of Albania in Beijing, archives of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Albania, archives of Embassy of Popular Republic of China in Tirana, archives of Ministry of Foreign Affairs in China, archives of Academy of Science, Social Science in Beijing especially, archives of Institute of Archaeology in China, personal files of Gomoro, personal files of Professor Alex Buda, former president of Academy of Science, personal files of Professor Wang Zhongzhu, responsible for the restoration of Codex of Albania, archives of Labour Party, Communist Party of Albania, archives of Communist Party of China, archives of People Assembly of China, true, and other archives. The images of two oldest codex of Albania and other codex of Albania are memorized in the philately of Albania and other philatelic editions. I have presented some of them in this slide. And the late using of ornaments of Purple Codex of Albania and other Codex of Albania is this form. The basic motifs of the oldest Codex of Albania are used in the industry of high fashion and in silk clothes production. Now I have presented just some forms of using of the motifs of miniatures of Albanian Codex by Natasha Korn, are by the same hand, based in the blue motifs, in the reed motifs and other motifs. Let's look at that. The miniatures of Albanian Codex are beautiful. This is a beautiful form of this luxury manufactured in the Middle Age and before in the early Christianity. Concluding, I would like to say that this Codex of first Codex of Albania is registered and nominated in the UNESCO, the highest UNESCO program Memory of the World. The text is with the word not separated. It does a specialist school of writing. Is a fundamental reference to the history of human thought at the period when the human reason was still competent over the religious doctrine, and is a masterpiece of art scribency. Is a manuscript not late than the middle of 6th century. Is a capolavoro of calligraphy. The scripture is art in se, and need to say that the first and the second Codex of Albania have intrinsic values because are right in the gold and the silver. And finally, thank you for your attention. I hope that some things are presented, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. It was a very full and rich presentation. Thank you from my part. I don't know if any of the participants has any question about Professor. I think it was very rich presentation, so everything was said. But if you have any question, we are open to it. Okay, as you don't have any question, the last thing, please, we have sent to the chat form, very short form, for your feedback on this webinar. If you would like to know more about the presentation, of course, we will remain in contact if you have any question, and send it to Professor for his feedback also. Please check in your chat. There is a short form, and you will have some days to fill it and to give your feedback about. If there are no questions, thank you very much to everyone, but especially to Professor Shaban Sinani, because he really had a very wonderful presentation for us, and I hope we'll have other possibilities to have him at our university and at Resilience. Thank you again.
Thank you, Professor.